Michael
Love that dude.
Bane Tomlin. You don't fear death. Your punishment must be more severe.
I don't fear sudden death.
Look,
great.
So owners have approved overtime rule change for the postseason. Regular season remains the same for NFL overtime. Postseason now, in the aftermath of that controversial for some finish to the Bills-Chiefs divisional playoff game, each team will now be guaranteed at least one possession. If it's tied after one possession each, it goes into sudden death.
Sudden death.
Needless to say, Michael, for you and viewers of this fine program, you are not surprised to know that I don't think this goes far enough. But you first, your feelings on this overtime tweak.
You know what? They're playing to the crowd, Mike. They're playing to the crowd. They've got their prisoners of the moment, recency bias, anything you want to say, all the phrases that you've heard.
Really?
This is
now,
what it is.
Hold on.
They're all getting caught up.
Let me just say this. Rich McKay said, this is Rich McKay. I just want to read this quote to that end. He said, in the Buffalo game this year was the greatest 20 to 30 minutes of football that I've seen ever, just watching a game. To think that it ended that way definitely brought up the idea of, hey, is that equitable? Does that work for everybody? I have no question that started the discussion. Now, here's to your point, Michael. He said what typically happens in these is they tend to lose momentum as you get further away from the game. And that did not happen in this instance. McKay also said that the data in recent years helped drive this change, because since 2010, when the NFL implemented the previous format after the Vikings lost to the Saints on that field goal on the first possession,
Right.
7 of the 12 overtime postseason games have been won on an opening possession touchdown, and 10 of the 12 have been won by the team that won the coin toss. Of course, one of those being the Chiefs against the Bills. So you were saying, just want to get that further context.
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, it's popular right now to say, you know, both teams should get the possessions. Both teams should have an opportunity. It's not fair, on and on and on. And then we bring up these great games as evidence. But I'm with Mike Tomlin all the way, that philosopher, that philosopher king, Mike Tomlin, who says, yeah, you did have an opportunity. The way he presented it, Mike, makes so much sense. You've had opportunities.
I think it's the way he says it.
Like,
when he says things,
yeah, I know.
It just sounds different. It hits different when he says it.
It's so clear. It does. Because we all got caught up in it. Yeah, we all got caught up in the overtime period.
When you put it that way.
we got caught in the overtime period. So we're all looking at it, well, wait a minute. Well, you get one possession, I get one possession. He's looking at it as a whole piece of work. It's a masterpiece. So it's 75 minutes as opposed to 15, potentially. And so over a 75-minute game, if you go into overtime, both teams have had lots of opportunities that they have probably squandered. And to that end, before I toss it back to you, I'm good at this, and you are too. I'm good at assigning work to other people, for other people to do. Because I think you've given Charles Robinson, he alluded to it yesterday, you've given Charles Robinson like 3-4 homework assignments in the last month and a half, and he hasn't come through for it, but you've asked him to do the work. Well, I'm going to give reporters in Buffalo and reporters in Kansas City an assignment. And I wonder if it will change our opinions once that assignment is complete. And that is, go to Andy Reid, watch coaching tape with Andy Reid from this game, watch coaching tape with Sean McDermott from this game, and then tell me, Rich McKay, if it was one of the greatest games you've ever seen. Because I guarantee you, both of them say, oh my God, we had so many defensive breakdowns. Our execution was poor. That's why the audience loved it. But from a coaching standpoint, it wasn't great. So I think these things get lost when we talk about overtime. Hey, look at this. Well, what if Josh Allen had another opportunity? Well, what if defensive backs were within 5 yards of the receiver? What if guys hadn't fallen down? What if there hadn't been poor tackling? So I just think, it's a nice little tweak, but it's not going to solve the problem for people like you who want something more.
Well, I guess if you're going to fix it all the way. And I think this is a half measure. because I can't wait until the first time that there's a score on the first 3 possessions of overtime. Now, I've said several times that perfect is the enemy of good. And I know that the Michael Smith, Terrence Williams, Gary Carter proposal, now just like this one was put forth by the Eagles and the Colts, Michael Smith, Terrence Williams, and Gary Carter have given you the perfect proposal, the closest thing to a perfect proposal that you're going to have. But the rest of the world just ain't caught up to us yet, okay? But perfect is the enemy of good. I'm telling you, mine is the one, because what's going to happen is the Chiefs and the Bills, just using them for instance, they're going to play again. They're going to have another shootout. And the Chiefs go and win the coin toss, and they go score a touchdown on the first possession. And the Bills go respond, and they go score a touchdown on the second possession. And then it goes to sudden death. And after sudden death, and then on the third possession of the game, the Chiefs going to score a touchdown, and everybody going to be like, well, the Bills didn't get 2 possessions. Y'all got 2, and the Bills got 1. That's not fair. And that's what I'm now advocating to fix. And I think the way to fix it, in my proposal, I'm going to die on this hill. Sorry, Michael, I won't waste too much more time. I won't take too much time away from today's show. But I'll make it quick.
I'm going to make it quick. That graphic up. No, you don't have to make it quick. I memorized it by now. I memorized this. I can just like,
and you still
I can recite this like, some people can recite like the Gettysburg Address. I can recite this off the dome.
But don't you see?
Okay, I got it.
But don't you see that what my, like, so in my proposal, okay, it still kind of, you know, satisfies the people who say, hey, you got to play defense. Because I get your criticism. You're saying, Michael, under the Smith proposal, you're saying if the Chiefs get the ball, score a touchdown, kick an extra point, and the Bills then have to get possession, score a touchdown, and they have to go for 2, well, the Chiefs didn't have to do that. So why are the Bills having to do something in response to the Chiefs didn't have to do? Well, my answer to that is, well, you had your chance to stop them, but you didn't, which is a lot of people's case right now for not doing anything. Or a lot of people's case against complaining about the way that game ended. You had a chance to stop them. But since you didn't stop them, the penalty while you get an ensuing possession is that you can't just tie the game. You have to win it. So if you hold, again, I'm just using Chiefs-Bills. If the Bills hold the Chiefs to a field goal, then the Bills have to score a touchdown. You got to win the game. So that now solves the problem of the endless overtime game. You know, because people could criticize mine and be like, well, it's never going to end. No, it would end because you can't play for a tie. You have to go for the win unless the team that has the ball first goes for 2, which will rarely happen. And now you can only tie with the second possession, and then we do it all over again. So I'm not advocating for an endless overtime game that goes around and around like in college. I'm saying there is an element of you have to play defense, but once you go to sudden death, I love the drama of sudden death, but it's not fair if every team has an unequal number of possessions. That is just as inequitable in my mind as deciding it on a coin toss.
Well, Mike, are people doing this intentionally, or is it are they just writing it up to coincidence? Okay, so it's great. And I'm not a coach, so I did enjoy, just like you did, I enjoyed Kansas City Buffalo in the divisional round. That was as good of a football game as I've seen in the last 15 or 20 years. It was just enjoyable. It was entertaining. Some great performances on both sides. And hey, the team I wanted to win the game won the game. So that makes it even better. So yeah, that's awesome. And there was
I was wondering if you were going to sneak that little bit of bias in there. I was just does this have anything to do with the fact that everybody remembers where they were. Definitely. Everybody remembers where they were when they were watching this game. Michael Holley was on his hands and knees. Go ahead.
I was like, oh God, please. I was like, all right. Tomorrow, I'm like, tomorrow's gonna be awful. It's gonna be awful tomorrow. I gotta go in there.
Chiefs, Bills. Oh my God. Chiefs, Bills. Oh my God.
No, it would have been. It would have been Bills, Bengals.
Bills, Bengals. That's right. I'm sorry. Bills, Bengals. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
No, and not just Bills, Bengals. 49ers, Rams. Oh, it was about to be the best weekend of my life.
I know.
But what you were saying. But go ahead.
All right. So in that game, we all remember it.
29-3 was the vote, by the way.
Yeah. Kansas City won the toss. Kansas City goes down. great catch by Travis Kelce, game over, all right? But the story continued. But then what happened? End of story, the end? No. The next week, same crib, same place, Arrowhead Stadium. I'm going to call it Arrowhead. Same place, overtime again.
Yeah,
overtime
that's
again.
The exception, though. What the Bengals did is the exception.
That's what people are saying. That's the way around it, because it was Kansas City got the toss again. Here we go. I can remember Patrick Mahomes. Cameras caught him at the perfect time. Like, okay, here we go. Crowd goes crazy, and the Bengals make a stop in overtime and get to the Super Bowl. So,
but that's one of two times that's happened. The Rams was the other one. So I just gave you the data that drove this. 10-2 were teams that won the overtime coin flip in the postseason. 10-2, and 7 of them coming on the opening possession. The Chiefs were on the other side.
Is that a big enough sample size?
The Patriots getting it's big enough for me.
Is that big enough sample size? 12 games.
It's big enough for me.
Come on. That's nothing.
So Tom Pelissero said this. One NFL head coach offered a prediction about the new modified overtime rule for postseason only. Many teams will get the ball first and score a touchdown, will go for 2, rather than allowing the second team to do it and end the game. Maybe. That's exciting. Maybe.
You know what?
Or kick off.
I was going to say, there it is. Here. See, that is. Hey, go ahead. We're going to kick off.
So we know.
Go ahead. We're going to get a possession anyway. Wait, yeah, go ahead. You got it first. Pressure's on you. But then again, if you go down and score, I guess it's pressure on somebody else to come back with the touchdown. But that's if you really have a great defense and you find yourself in overtime and you win the toss, hey, why not? Go with the best. Go with your best asset, because once again, if you force a turnover, if you get a pick six, game's over, right? You can force a fumble or just get an interception, just retain possession.
Well, also just field position. Also just field position, because the worst that could happen is they're kicking off to you and you're starting from your 25. That's the worst case scenario if you kick off. Best case scenario, like you said, maybe it's a turnover, maybe you get a short field like the Bengals did, or maybe you get a sudden change in their territory. Or maybe they go 3 and out and it's 4th and long and they can't go for it. They got a punt, you get a nice punt return and you start at midfield and all you need is a field goal to win the game, like the Bengals did against the Chiefs when they stopped them on an opening possession. I think your boy Mike Vrabel and the Titans put forth the only way a team could end it would be the 2-point conversion on the first touchdown.
They were going down they were in your neighborhood.
They were in my neighborhood. They were down the street.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my way actually incorporates a lot of what has happened. Not a lot would change. The only difference between mine and everybody else's is it gives an equal number of possessions versus each team is guaranteed 1.
You know what?
I mean, look, maybe it won't get to that third. Maybe we won't get to that situation where it's touchdown, and then field goal on the next possession. Maybe it will never happen. But when it does, I guarantee you, mark my words, people are going to be like, well, that's not fair. They got 2 shots and we got 1. And some people will still say, well, you should have stopped them. Well, yeah, just like Mike Tomlin said, you had 60 minutes to not go to overtime. That's also the guy that goes for 2 early in the game. And it sees a coach in his own division that goes for 2 to end the game all the time. We talked about this,
Right.
But I just really feel like if you had to outscore, like think about this, Michael. How about this? Let me incorporate some other sports if I may. In baseball,
all right, let's go.
All right, in baseball, you don't do top of the 9th, and if a team hits a home run, that's it. Game's over.
That's right.
Which is okay. You don't do top of the 9th if a team gets 3 outs, or a team hits a home run, but then they get 3 outs, and then the next team only gets 1 out. They each have half a frame. They have half of an inning to outscore the other one, or we do it again the same way. Basketball, you get 5 minutes on the clock, and you go up and down. Okay, and at the end of it, we'll see who's got more points. Football is the only sport that, sport that we're talking about where there's this imbalance in possession, especially in a sport where the rules are skewed toward the offense. I think it's not about each team getting a minimum of 1 possession. each team needs to have an equal number of possessions because the same thing is going to transpire in sudden death, and somebody going to be like, that's not fair. They got the ball back. We didn't get the ball back. So instead of it being, we didn't get the ball at all, it's going to be, well, we didn't get the ball back.
Yeah, they'll probably do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go political on you. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help get your bill passed. And what happens sometimes in politics? What happens sometimes in politics is you have a couple people, just a couple people on the other side across the aisle who want to work with you. Only a few, not that many.
You're gonna whip some votes for me?
Yeah. But I want to say this. No. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say, you need to take some of the fat out of your bill. You need to massage some of that language. I think a sticking point. The folks on my side are like, yeah.
So I'm saying defund the police, and that's just like a turn off.
Right,
it's the messaging.
Right. It's just, the messaging ain't right.
Okay.
So folks on my side
defund is a trigger for you. Okay.
Well, you tell him that we say. The 2-point conversion is a little bit of a sticking point. I don't know how we can get past that. Maybe
forced
we have
2-point
to
conversion?
massage that. Yeah.
You mean the mandatory 2-point
You're
conversion?
asking, because it's like that. We're in a participation trophy culture. Everybody, well, that's not fair. That's not fair. Yeah. Think about this. Think about your kids. Somebody gets a sleepover, then somebody doesn't. Somebody gets a new TV, new cell phone, somebody doesn't. That's not fair. Why they get that? Why not me? Okay, you know I'm right.
Well, I'm not responsible for them. I'm not responsible for them.
Okay,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So
what they do in their house is their business.
What you got to do is you got to make sure that 2-point conversion thing is not. You got to make it so it makes sense. It makes sense where that second team is saying, "Oh man, that's messed up. We had to do something different." And if you can get that,
but you could have stopped them. Yeah, all right. I'll go to the more progressive wing of my caucus, and we'll work on trying to have a bigger tent. Okay, we'll try to get a bigger tent, and and just try to be, okay, all right. If you're telling me we lost the election because we were too progressive, I'm sorry. We got you here. You told us that you had our back. Yep. So sorry. If we just actually gonna take you at your word for it, that you had our back.
You only a few.
Way too many bills still sitting on your desk, if you ask me.
That's right.
All right.
You vote.
All right. This is better. This is better. It's a step in the right direction.
We're getting there. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.